Hello and welcome back once again to After the Credits. Yes, I'm wearing the same shirt because it's the same day. Seen a few movies, had a little bit of money, so I went and saw a couple things. Doing all the reviews back to back, it's been a few days, so I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. But the other thing I got around to seeing was X-Men Apocalypse. Finally got around to seeing it, been putting it off for a couple weeks since it came out, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to go see it. So here it is. So what did I think of X-Men Apocalypse? I'm starting to get sick of these X-Men movies, honestly. The continuity with these things is all over the place. Nothing matches. It keeps taking shots at itself from the older movies, even though it's still trying to be in continuity with those older movies. And it's just, again, to be so mixed up. You can't have a universe that you say, okay, we're still basing off this old universe, so everything that's established there still exists, we're just changing it slightly, and then turn around and do the exact opposite of everything that was established in those universes. They keep making Mystique into a hero. She's not a hero. She's been on Magneto's side from the beginning. That's what the basis of the first three movies was it was Magneto and Mystique against Charles and the X-Men. Now they're trying to make her an X-Men, they're trying to make her a hero. I'm tired of Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique. She doesn't fit the character. I haven't liked her since, if she's going to play the younger Mystique, fine. But now she's supposed to be an older Mystique, like in her 30s, and Jennifer Lawrence just doesn't look 30, so it doesn't fit. They reintroduced Nightcrawler, who was introduced in X-Men 3, and it was hinted at in that one that he's the son of Mystique, which he is. They even hint to that in this one, although Mystique and Nightcrawler in this one look the same damn age. She's hasn't visibly aged. It's supposedly like 10, 15, 20 years later or something since the events of Days of Future Past happened, I guess. But she doesn't look any older, and she has a son who's practically the same age as her. They're trying to make it like he's only 10 or 15 years old. This guy's clearly 30-something. Looks actually slightly older, if not the same age as Jennifer Lawrence. So, but they still hint at she's kind of watching over him because she knows who he is, although they still don't fully reveal it. But then at the same time, they've introduced him here, so how does he get reintroduced in the future when we catch up to the first three films that still exist? And don't give me the crap about they wrote out the continuity of the third one with the Days of Future Past thing, rebooting everything, because they didn't. And it's obvious by the direction they're going with this. They're trying to keep Mystique in with the X-Men. They keep trying to make Magneto a good guy, even though he's not a bad guy, but he is. His judgment is skewed, and they keep having him come back into the fold, then leave, come back in, leave. And then he comes back, he makes friends with Charles, and then he's like, well, I'm not going to stick around, I'm going to go do my own thing, but good luck to you and the students, And it's always been that they're butting heads over their philosophies. You can't keep having him come in to be friends with him, and at the same time still follow the continuity of the original trilogy. For example, we introduced Jean Grey as a student at the school in this one. In the original continuity, Charles and Magneto went and got her together. That was a thing they did. Of course, they were older in that one, not played by younger versions of themselves, so that's already been thrown out of continuity before. Jean Grey unleashes her Phoenix power, which was supposed to be something that they locked away in her a long time ago and that no one was supposed to know about except for Charles and Magneto. But now all the original X-Men students know it. Yeah, so like I said, the continuity in this thing is all over the place. Of course, you got the Wolverine appearance by Hugh Jackman. It is very short, which I was happy about. Because, again, he's not supposed to be introduced to the X-Men group at this point. If you're going to continue with Hugh Jackman, you're stating that this still exists in that original trilogy world. And X-Men Origins Wolverine and the Wolverine, all that. It's all tied together. The X-Men weren't supposed to have met him until much later. And he's been at every turning point with them since this whole thing started. It doesn't work that way. So, anyway, this is supposed to be the final tie together before you go into the other stuff. I don't know where they're going to go from here. They're doing something with the Weapon X thing, which will probably lead into the third Wolverine movie, which I guess they're going... Originally they were going off Old Man Logan. I've heard that might be changing now. But yeah, so they're still trying to tie everything back together, but it's just so convoluted. Even if you erase the third movie, it's still all bunched up based off the first two. And honestly, I think they just need to finish whatever they're doing with Wolverine, scrap this whole storyline, reboot, recast, whatever. Like I said, Jennifer Lawrence doesn't fit the older Mystique, but yet they won't bring back in another actress like Rebecca Romijn, who fit the role, but apparently didn't like the role, and she wasn't really active in the first three movies other than kicking everyone's ass. She didn't really talk a whole lot, where this Mystique is really outspoken. Yeah, so I've lost my train of thought now. That's how all over the place this movie is. I'm watching, I'm like, this doesn't fit. You know, it's kind of distracting from the rest of the story that's going on. So, we meet Apocalypse. Oh, speaking of Apocalypse, the Four Horsemen, Angel, person introduced in the second or third movie. Nope, forget that whole storyline. That Angel doesn't exist. We have a whole different Angel who fights Nightcrawler at one point. Then, in the battle, his wing gets damaged, and Apocalypse gives him new metal wings and creates Archangel. It's like the whole point of introducing Angel in the second or third movie, wherever he was to bring him into this and have him, because remember he lost his wings at one point. This was to give him back his wings. As I said, it doesn't make sense. So we get into Apocalypse story, and Apocalypse, I believe in the comic books, came a long time after the X-Men were already established, but I guess he's the one in this universe who's kind of taken them beyond trying to learn how to control their powers and given them stronger abilities and more control over everything just by a touch, because he can enhance your powers or bestow you powers if he chooses you to be one of his heralds. So he's just kind of advancing everyone's power, like Storm. We get introduced to her, and she's just kind of mild at power, and then he kind of helps her boost it up. Magneto, he helps him boost his power, because as we saw in First Class and Days of Future Past, he was having issues controlling his power at that point. Yeah, just about all of the X-Men at some point he touches in some way to help them advance their power. Psylocke, cool but wasted in this movie. She appears for a couple minutes and actually does anything. The rest of the time she's just kind of standing in the background. But she does have a few minutes of an actual fight scene. It's just, I felt they could have done more with her. But yeah, she was just kind of there to fill in one thing, and that's so Mystique could sneak up on Apocalypse by using her face, more or less. Other than that, big spoiler there, by the way. Other than that, she really served no purpose in the movie. She was just there because, we needed a fourth horseman. Yeah, so I'm not going to go into too much of what happens in the story. It's basically what you see in the previews. Apocalypse comes back from the dead, wants to take over the world. The X-Men, reform again because they're still not the X-Men yet, and go to stop him. And yeah, that's where we're at. There's an after the credits scene which involves the Weapon X program. Like I said, I think that's leading into the next Wolverine movie, and hopefully they can get the next story to where everything starts to come together and explain the paradoxes, I guess, or the plot holes. I guess they'd be more paradoxes. And see, I've always been someone who, if there's some form of time travel involved, you can create a whole nother universe, and I can live with it. Like, when everyone was complaining about the whole Star Trek reboot, I looked at it and I was like, they explain why everything's changing in here, because the timeline got altered, and I was able to deal with that. This, even though they had Days of Futures Past, which altered the timeline, they still haven't explained why events are moving in a different order. But yet they're still trying to tie back to the future where all the older characters are there, like Kelsey Grammer playing Beast, as opposed to the younger version of himself that's in this. They're trying to get back to that point with Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, all that stuff that they did at the end of Days of Future Past, where Wolverine kind of woke up and the events of X-Men Part 3 were kind of wiped out. But at the same time, go forward with that. You know, I saw something on Facebook the other day about would you want to see an X-Men movie featuring the original cast? Yeah, I would, personally. I would love to see the older cast return. You know, say what you will about the characters, I thought they did a good job casting. I thought Kelsey Grammer kind of fit as Beast. He kind of has that Beast aspect to him. Of course, I'm going off the Beast that I knew from the 90s cartoon. That's always going to be Beast in my mind, so when I think of who could play that, Kelsey Grammer fits great. Some people had an issue with that. As I said, I prefer Rebecca Romijn as Mystique, even though she didn't talk that much. That's kind of her thing. She's Mystique. She's mysterious. She only says what needs to be said when it needs to be said. I think she fit the adult character a lot more, especially to have a 20-something-year-old son like Nightcrawler. You can't have a 20-year-old playing the mother of a 30-year-old and make it work. I mean, it's simple. And honestly, Jennifer Lawrence isn't that great of an actress. Sorry if you guys like her. I don't. She was good in Hunger Games or whatever, but beyond that, I don't care. I don't need to see her in things. So, that's my rant about X-Men Apocalypse. What did I think of it? It was okay. It's just another one of the frickin' X-Men movies. You know, they make a little quip in the movie. They go see Return of the Jedi at the movie theater because this is supposedly based in the 80s. And Jean Grey makes a comment about, well, you know the third one's always the worst out of the three, hinting back to X-Men 3 being the worst one out of those, according to everyone, even though I kind of liked the third one. But then you also think, okay, well, you had First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse. So that means this one sucks, right? According to your guys' logic. You have to think about that. You're on your third movie, again, and you're saying the third one always sucks, so that's your excuse when people say that they don't like this, is, oh, it's the third one, it always sucks. No, that doesn't work. So, it was okay for what it was. Like I said, just, you can't keep trying to tie the continuities together because you've blew that ship right out of the water. Just reboot. If you want to use the same cast, just kind of restructure your story to where it makes some damn sense. That's all I ask. So as far as the star rating on this one, 2.5, I don't know. It's kind of middle of the road. It's an X-Men movie, so it is what it is. The continuity issues piss me off, so I guess 2.5, I don't know. Now, you know what? I liked Huntsman's Winter War better than this, and I gave that a 2.5. So yeah, X-Men Apocalypse, you get a 2. You're lucky you get a 2 and not getting knocked down lower. Make your damn story make some sense. Maybe you'll get back up to a 3. Maybe a 3.5. Right now, just, I don't know. That's it. So anyway, that's it for this episode. Again, as always, thank you guys for watching and listening to my rants. Remember to like, comment, rate, subscribe, share the video. Links are in the description and up here in the corner. I almost pointed to both corners, but it's over here if you're on YouTube. And until next time, we'll see you after the credits.